Hey guys, it's Carl Brown from GuitarLessons365.com. Got the new one from Metallica today, so they just kind of shocked the world yesterday by releasing this new single with their upcoming album, which means I'm going to be very busy this spring when they release that. So I'm going to take a look at this whole thing for you, show you how to play it note for note throughout the whole thing. It's a fun track to play, kind of really harkens back to kind of old school Metallica. So hope you guys will enjoy it. Now, before I get into it, please subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Ring the notification bell, of course. You know, if you like and comment the lesson and watch it, it really helps the YouTube algorithm and all that stuff. And if you really want to support what I do here on YouTube, you'll see a link to that in the description below. It's the link to my Guitar Academy. It contains all my guitar courses, covering everything from complete courses for beginners to more advanced courses on technique, improvisation, ear training, and theory, you name it. It's all there. I go live every Saturday with Academy members too, so I can just kind of help you guys in real time every single week. So please go check it out. All right, so we are in standard tuning because Metallica can rock out in any tuning. And we're going to start here with this intro, which moves along pretty quick. So we're going to start with that. So it's going to start with this power chord, this D power chord off the 5th fret of the A string. So it's the 5th fret on the A and the 7th fret there, the D. So obviously Kirk and James, they usually play their power chords with the index and pinky finger, which makes it easier to move around. A lot of people go, why would you use your pinky? It actually makes it, you can keep your wrists straighter with less effort, and which helps you slide around. It kind of really fits nicely in the hand. So we're going to start with this, and then slide down 1 fret, and then you're going to hit a down up, muted down up on the A string there that you're holding at the 4th fret. So just that little, so that down up is just on the A string. Then you're going to hit this, kind of do the same thing, but now starting from this power chord. So you're kind of hitting the power chord, sliding down to the 3rd fret, and then you're hitting that one on the A string twice, heavily palm muted. So wait this. Then continue the same thing again, down 3 to 2, and hit that A string a couple of times there on the with the muted hits, and then again. So it's the same thing, just taken chromatically. Now he does that at the beginning of the song, at least. He does that 3 times. So. Now from there, we go to some power chords that have the 5th in the bass. So we go back to the same chorus like that, but we're going to be playing not just the power chord off the 5th fret of the A string, but you're going to add the 5th fret of the low E string underneath it. So now we have basically this power chord shape, but the 5th is in the bass. So that's the 5th across the A and the E, and then the 7th on the D. So you hit that chord and kill it, and then at the 4th fret, 3rd fret, 2nd fret, and to the A power chord. So you let the A power chord ring, and then slide it up 12 frets. So the open A is still ringing, but you hold the 2nd fret there on the D and the G as you let it ring, and slide it up the octave to the 14th fret on the D and the G. And then we have from there, a pick slide. And then we go into that main riff, which is this. All right, so that main riff that you're gonna kind of hear throughout the chorus as well, it's gonna start here at the 7th fret there on the G, pull off to 5, and then off to the open G. And then you're going to come over here to the open A string along with the 7th fret there on the D. So that's kind of an octave thing. Now, when you hear this chord, you're going to hear the 5th in there as well. So you're going to hear this E. So it almost sounds like they're doing this. They very well might be. There's no visual evidence of them really playing that. The video is just flying all over the place, so you can't really see what's going on too much with their hands. But when you hear that chord hit, you can probably hear that note right now as well. So if I played it there and then went, you can hear that note in there. So that note happens naturally as an overtone of when you hit an A. That happens, that's just acoustic physics, look it up. So anyway, when you have two of them together, it's gonna make that overtone even more powerful. So that's what I think we're hearing here. We're hearing more of an overtone instead of them actually playing that note, but they might be playing it, but I think it's an overtone. So you can still hear it quite well without playing it. So gonna put that out there. You might want to add that note there, but probably if you listen to it now, you probably still hear it when I play this. So anyway, I'm gonna play it without it. So we have this 5, pull off 7, pull off the 5, pull off to the open G, and then the open A, and then the 7th fret there on the D. And then just down, up, down, up, down, up. So we're just kind of heavily palm muting the open A string like 6 times. And then you're gonna go 7 on the D and the G together, and then move it up to the 8th fret on the D and the G. So it is. So that's the main thing. They play it 4 times and then they come back here and do this, which is basically just hitting that A power chord, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then jump back here and play the 7, 8 again. And then we go back into the riff again. Now I think one of them, I think Kirk might be jumping back here. Whenever those hits are going on throughout the song, when you hear those like strict hits on the A, which they do a lot. And I think James stays up here. He keeps playing that same A octave. Because you can hear that overtone pretty well in there still. Like you can hear him so easily doing it. You hear that in there. So I think it's the overtone of that. So anyway, so you can come back here and jump that on that. And then we have the same riff again. 4 more times. And then we get to the verse. Now, the verse looks like this. So that last little bit you can probably consider like a pre-chorus when it builds up, when it gets to that F. But so it starts with this this A power chord at the 5th fret on the low E string. So 5th fret on the low E, 7th on the A string. And then you hit that chord, and then you start just, now he's not doing all downstrokes here. I know every time James Hetfield's playing guitar, people assume that he's doing everything with a downstroke. He's not doing that here. He's just doing alternate picking, heavily palm muted. So he hits the chord, and then you're gonna just hit the bottom low E string alternate pick until we get to the chord hits, which is gonna be the C power chord off the A string there. So the 3rd fret power chord off the A string, then up to the 5th fret to the D power chord, back to the C power chord. So we have this. From there, he's going to go to the G power chord off the 3rd fret of the low E string. So, and then from there, he's going to go, which is these chords right here are going to change the second time around. So we have this 3rd fret power chord off the A string again, and this B power chord here off the 2nd fret of the A string hit twice. So we have this. All right, and then we go back up here to the A power chord again, like we're starting the riff over. Now here's where there's a difference here. Instead of going the second time around, he does that root 5th shape. So he's gonna do the same power chords, but he's gonna add the note on the low E string underneath it. So the 5th, so that 3rd fret on the low E and the A. So you hit that once there, and then once again twice on the the B power chord. So it's the same thing as the first time around, except that you're just adding the notes on the low E for those two chords. So far we have this. And then you start over. Now, that after you've played the whole thing twice, that ending, and when you're doing this, instead of hitting that last chord twice at the second fret, this is when it's transitioning down to the, which might be, you can consider like a pre-chorus. He transitions, instead of going like this third fret and the second fret twice, the very end of this, he goes, for the verse, he does the third fret, then the second fret, then the open E string. And then from there, we get to what you can probably consider a pre-chorus. All right, so that's just this first fret power chord off the low E string to F, so you hit it, and then just a series of down, up, straight on the low E string while you're holding that chord, obviously. Then you hit the open E power chord and do the same thing. And then as you're doing that, you're gonna jump up here and go. Now you could do that, and one of them might do that, but it makes sense to do it here. Because you gotta go right back into to that lick there that happens on the same fret. So instead of jumping back down, you can just come up here. So this is the 5th fret on the A string, hammer 7, then you pick 7 twice, so that's the lick. So the end of this first verse, or this pre-chorus here, this little lick is, later on in the song, it's going to be played a little longer. I think it's like the 3rd time through it. So the whole section there looks like this. All right, from there we go back. We go to the chorus, which is just the main riff that we played before, played 8 times. But we have Kirk that adds a little bit of a fill in there. Really quick little thing that happens at the end of it. Looks like this. So that is probably got some wah pedal, but we have just the 5th fret there on the G and the B together. We slightly bend them up a little bit, and then we have this little descending lick. Just based out of A minor pentatonic. It's just 5th fret on the high E, then pull off 8 to 5 on the B, then pull off 7 to 5 on the G, over to 7 on the D, back to the 5 on the G, you can slightly bend that, and then resolve it back to that 7th fret there on the D. All right, from there we get back to the verse again. So it's the exact same verse that we had the first time through, and then the exact same chorus again, which takes us to this bridge/solo section. So I'm gonna play, since the very end of the bridge kind of leads into the solo, I'm gonna play all of pretty much what James is doing here for the whole bridge section, this little instrumental section before the solo, and then all the way through the solo, and then all the way out of the solo to what they play out of it, which is gonna be some of what actually Kirk plays. But it's pretty much all the rhythm guitar work we're gonna take care of through the bridge and the solo section, and then a little bit after when they're just kind of jamming. All right, so I'm gonna play all that first, just the rhythm guitar stuff. So it looks like this. All right, so that's gonna start here with this, we did this a little bit earlier, hitting this A power chord 4 times. And then you're gonna come up here and grab those 7/8 double stops. So you're basically gonna do that 3 times. And then the last time, he leads into, it doesn't have that same ending because it leads into the solo. And that's just instead going to be the A power chord hit 3 times. And then we're going to have this little descending 3-2-1 power chord, I'm sorry, off the low E string. 3. And then we get straight into the true solo, which is this. So that's the first part of it. So we're going to start with this low E power chord, hit the power chord, and that same thing we're doing, then taking the low E string and just kind of strict down, up, heavily palm muted, and then come up here, grab the 7th fret on the A and the E, I'm sorry, A and the D, and then move it up to the 8th fret on both of those, so that's and now from there, we're gonna do this, which he plays this riff 4 times. The first 2 times, he's kind of being a little bit more free with it. And the second time, he's doing a little bit more aggressive picking, so it looks like this. All right, so that's just a power chord, this B flat power chord off the 6th fret of the low E string. So you kind of more of a swing, kind of letting it ride a little bit. It's not really hitting it hard, just kind of letting it ring. So that's 6th fret, up to 8, back to 6, back to 8, back to 6. So it's then it goes 6, 3, 5, and that he kind of does this kind of like slightly kind of palm muted hits that makes it sound a little bit bigger. Try this. So repeat that again. And then we're going to do the same riff, but when we hit it. So when you come back down and can let it, whenever you're kind of on that 6th fret power chord, like that. So when you get back down to the 6 every time, kind of start doing those down ups on the low E string as well, heavily palm muted. So it's going to play it like that the last 2 times there, and then it goes into this, which is really the after the solo. So this part right here is more like James will be doing the hits, and Kirk is doing the kind of all the double stops up top. So it's kind of hitting this A power chord 4 times, and then Kirk comes up and grabs the. This is basically after the solo. I'll go back and make sure we do the solo too. We have the G string and the B string there, double stop. And then back to the A, and then the G and B string double stop at the 7th fret. And then back to the A's 4 times. And then the G and B double stop at the 9th fret. And then back to the A double stop, so to let the last one ring. And then what you're gonna do is jump up here, up to the double stops at the 17th fret on the D and the G. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it goes back into the main riff one more time. Play it 3 times. And then back up here to those 17s to end it. And then it goes back to the, kind of this whole solo section's over. It goes, back to the main riff and the verse and stuff. So Now, let's take a look at the actual solo. So I'm going to play through the solo. It's crazy wah-infested madness again. So I'm going to play through this, and I'll show you how to play it relatively note for note when we get done. All right, here we go. All right, so here we go. All right, now, if you've done Kirk Hammett solos before and you've pulled them off halfway decently, this one's not going to be that strange for you. There's a lot of stuff that you're just not going to get note for note just because of the nature of the riff when he's doing all his whammy bar stuff and just hammerings and taking things grammatically down and just not really worried about just kind of what Freddie's going to or whatever. It's more of the effect you should go for and not the notes so much. But the beginning of it, we can get it pretty much note for note. So he's going to start out, I'm going to turn the wah pedal off. So we're going to start here with the, I'm kind of starting here at the 17th fret on the high E string, and then having the 15th fret and the 12th fret. So what I'm doing, so he's kind of, it's kind of almost like a tremolo picked thing where you're just kind of picking and you're not trying to like get it. He's not playing like one note on each one. He's kind of like, see each one is getting a few hits on it. So it's more of like a feel thing, or he's just kind of like, kind of like that, and he's obviously rocking the wah pedal, really kind of accentuating that. So you do that like 4 or 5 times, and then he does that little lick to end it. So this is going to be 15, pull off to 14, and 12 on the high E, and then the same thing on the B, and then pull off 14 to 12 on the G. So it is. And then we have this. All right, so that's going to be double stops at the 14th fret on the G and the B string together. You pick the double stops, those two notes together, kind of slightly pull it towards the floor a little bit. Then play the double stops at the 12th fret on the G and the B. Over to the 14th fret there on the D. So we had kind of that lick. And one more time. So this. From there we had this. So that's just going, bending the 14th fret there on the G, and then picking the 12th fret on the B string a couple times. So do that look like 4 times, and then it goes into a 15th fret there on the bend at the on the B string. So far we have this. All right, here's where it gets crazy, and you're not going to be able to completely recreate it exactly like he plays it. I'm sure he can't either. He can get close, but just the nature of it's just impossible. So anyway, what he's doing, he starts out with, and he's doing a hammer on the 15th fret there on the G string, and then pulling back off of the open. So kind of get that going first. And then he starts doing a slow bar dive with it. And then as he starts doing that bar dive, gets that going a little bit, then he starts kind of moving the hand kind of down the string, just doing the same thing. And it's meant to create like a chaotic sound. It's not meant to be like a precise, like this note to this note to this note thing. So that's how you want to look at it. And then he comes back up. He does kind of that thing where he slides back up to the 15th fret on the G, pull off to the open G, and then do another bar dive on that. So he gets that lick going a little bit. Kind it's actually fun. All right, from there, after he does that a little bit, he goes up to this and takes this. It's like it's laughing at me, doesn't it? This does. Anyway, it probably is. And so it's going to be a bend at the 18th fret on the B string into the 15th fret on the high E. So it's like a unison bend. Well, unison bend if they're played together, but you're just kind of holding that 15th fret there on the high E and then bending up the 18th fret on the B string and then going into that top note again. So you should repeat that a little bit. After he's done that a little bit, he starts taking it down. Just one fret at a time, same lick, just played once on each fret. And then he just kind of hits the strings. You hear like a big, huge bar dive at the end. So he just kind of like, once again, it's kind of just this erratic chaos he's trying to create. And just do a bar dive and you're good to go. So the beginning of the solo, you can get note for note. The end of it, good luck. It's more of an effect type thing. But I mean, he is going to specific frets, so you can target those frets, but getting all the whammy exactly like it and everything, it's just not one of those things that's possible. So anyway, out of the solo, we go back into the main riff again. So nothing new there out of this whole solo section. I mean, out of the solo, it goes to which we covered. That's really what comes out of the solo. But we covered that earlier. So after that and all the main riff and stuff, we get back to the verse. The verse is pretty much the same, except it has that extended ending I talked about before, so it looks like this. So there's nothing new there, it's just at the very end of it, instead of like playing it 4 times, you play it 8 times. Then it goes back into the chorus for that main riff again. So we do that main riff, and then we have, coming out of that main riff, after you do it, I think like 4 times, we have the ending section, which looks like this. All right, so a lot of things we've seen so far. So we start with that same riff. The power chord hit the A power chord 4 times, and into those double stop at 7 and 8. And then into the slide riff that we started the song with, but instead of playing 3 times, you just play it twice. And it has that same chromatic ending where we're using those root 5th chords in the bass that we did in the intro, leading us down to the A power chord. So that part is the same as the intro, except you're just doing that slide riff basically twice instead of 3 times. So after let that ring, we go up and we end the song by just playing the main riff twice. And that is it for the new Metallica song. Well, if you're watching this 10 years from now, it's not new anymore. It's a classic, probably. But anyway, it's called Lux Æterna. It's a fun song. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you again soon for GuitarLessons365.com.